Hey guys, it's Alex Bertson, the Manic Scholar, doing another video about Paramahansa Yogananda, who is the author of Autobiography of a Yogi. He's a yogi. He was a yogi, a guru, and he started the Self-Realization Fellowship. I did a couple videos already on Yogananda in different systems. One of the systems was Michael Teachings. In that system, he's a priest in the Old Soul Age. And then I also did his Vedic astrology chart, and he's a rising Leo, moon Leo, and Sagittarius sun. And now I'm going to do his human design chart and talk a little bit about the themes that I see here. Um, so, if you don't know what human design is, it's the system that shows how our aura works and our energy centers and the kind of archetypal themes, energies related to all these different centers that we have. Um, and in human design, there's a map of all these placements, all these connections between these different centers um, that really show us there's a lot to talk about in each of the little details there. But they're also related to something called the gene keys, which came out of human design. And each of these numbers is considered a gene key. In human design, it's called a gate, but they're the same thing. So I'm just going to talk about a couple things here. His type in human design is Manifestor, which is also known as the initiator. They're the ones that have the energy to go out and start getting the ball rolling with new things. They can create whole new worlds or new, not lots of new stuff, bring to the world. Like some other examples of manifestors are like J.K. Rowling. You know, she created the whole Harry Potter world, the Wizarding world, or whatever, and and that turned into movies and a whole franchise. And there's also J.R.R. Tolkien. I believe he's also a manifestor, and he wrote Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit. So, and also Hitler was a manifestor as well, and he initiated the whole Nazi thing. Um, but anyway, so yeah, he's a manifestor. So you can see how he works as a manifestor is he came around and started initiating things, bringing Hindu philosophy to the West, establishing different centers, the Self Realization Fellowship, and stuff like that. He has a lot of open centers in his chart. He has 6 centers undefined, which means he takes in energy from other people in those centers and is really sensitive to those energies. But he himself doesn't have a natural flowing through those energy centers created by his own aura. So he only has 3 centers defined, and that's the ego center, which is willpower, egoism, material world, and self worth. He also has the spleen center, which is deals with our fears, our natural fears, well being, immune system, intuition, instincts, and survival. And then we have the throat center, which is communication, manifestation, materialization, contact with the exterior worlds, an outlet for energy and expression, speaking, and doing. So, what makes him a manifestor in his chart is because there's a root, there's a motor center connected to the throat. So the throat has to be defined, and it has to be somehow connected to a motor. And in this case, his motor is the ego willpower center, the heart center, and it's getting connected to the throat through the connection to the spleen center. So that's what makes him a manifestor. Also, his profile, which are based on these lines in his sun and earth positions here, is 1 and 3, which is called the investigator for the 1 and martyr for the 3. The investigator gets deep into details of things and wants to work everything out step by step. but it goes, really detailed into things. So it takes a while to get started on things because you go into such detail with things to get used to it. It's the first line, so it's the first stage in a process. And then the third line, martyr, is about having a lot of different experiences that you can see. You try things out and it fails, and you try them again. It's like learning through experience. Um, and sometimes you'll make mistakes, but the mistakes are how you learn. So that's kind of what the martyr represents. So he has those two energies going on together. Um, Lots of trial and error with the martyr there. So last thing I'll talk about is his cross of penetration, which is a really interesting one because it involves the gene keys or the gates 54, 53, 57, and 51. But each of these have to do with overall a lot of initiating energy. So it's about like being the first one to establish something and get the ball rolling with stuff. Um, it doesn't necessarily mean that you'll be the one finishing everything, but you're introducing something new to the world. So that's kind of what he did. He brought stuff to the West, the whole yogi and all the spirituality teachings that he had. Um, he brought all that to the West and then established the Self Realization Fellowship. So he's the one who initiated all that. He's also a manifestor with this cross. So it's like all about initiating. So that's what he was here to do. Some of the things we can say about the gene keys real quick are the 51 is known as shock, which is about being courageous and leaping into the unknown, initiating new things. Then there's 57, which is intuition, uh, which is about being. It has some psychic ability tied to it, but intuition in general, for being in harmony with the outer world. And then there's 53, which is beginnings, which deals with self-awareness and aligning with the greater whole and finding places to begin new endeavors. And then there's 54, which is aspiration, uh, where you surpass material desire and seek spiritual growth for working for the benefit of all. And this cross all together, here's some notes on it. In its best manifestation, this is how it is. It's being pulled to begin and initiate new things at the appropriate moments in order to further the expansion of humanity or personal development. It's a tendency to make discoveries with keenly attuned intuition and a propensity to lean into the unknown or fringes of their field. So that's what he was doing. He had a lot to reveal to the world through his spirituality and spiritual experiences and stuff with his gurus and stuff. But this penetration cross is also seen with, what's his name? There's two people. There was a couple scientists. Oh yeah, it was Stephen Hawking and somebody else. I can't remember. But anyway, that's kind of this energy. It is bringing in a new perspective, initiating things, projects, going really action oriented. So that's kind of what we see for Yogananda. So yeah, I cover a lot of different systems. 3 different systems here for Yogananda. It's interesting to see he's a priest in Michael teachings. He's a manifestor in Human Design, and he's a Leo in Vedic astrology, also Sagittarius sun. So there's a lot of spiritual focus there overall. So it's really interesting. Oh yeah, a couple other things I was going to say here too. Talk about his channels a little bit real quick. So the ego center is connected to the spleen, and this is the channel of surrender. But it's about having an instinct for the material needs of others, so you can provide a product or an ideology or a viewpoint um, to the world, and you know when it's needed and where it's needed. You just have this instinct. Because what's interesting about this is it's focused on the material world from the ego center, the heart center, um, and it's connected to the instinct. So it's instinct for the material needs of others. That's essentially what that means with that channel there. And this one right here, going between the throat and the spleen center, is about having talent. I think it would be instinct and intuition talent here, um, in particular with the spleen center. But it's about having talent in a certain area and working hard on it because it's always needed to progress. But it's about talent. So yeah, he only has those two channels in his chart. But yeah, so that's about it. There's a lot more here with all the different placements. I could go into each of the gene keys and go very deep. But that's a basic overview, by looking at the cross and the channels and the centers. Um, so yeah, he's a very spiritual individual. He was really motivated to initiate new things into the world, establish his self-realization fellowship, and introduce the Western world more to the Eastern philosophy and spirituality. Um, so yeah, if you guys want to hear more about Paramahansa Yogananda, you can go visit, or go see the other two videos I made. One for the Michael teaching system, and then and Vedic astrology, to get an overall view. Uh, but yeah, that's about it, guys. I think I'll do another series of through these different systems, 3-part video kind of approach for some other people. I want to do this for Osho, and I want to do this for Ramana Maharshi as well. So those will be probably the next two that I'll deal with, and on my channel. I wanted to do a group of spiritual people that I find are really interesting and that are really important in the spiritual community, and history. So that's it, guys. Thanks for listening. If you like this, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Manic Scholar out.